a lot of my time on like the book side of YouTube, and I've been watching like the reading vlogs. Majority of the YouTube videos that I've been watching are like people reviewing books or people talking about like different book tropes. That's been giving me serotonin. So I'm really in this book like phase. I call it a phase because I don't know, like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh my god, I'm a reader. I normally don't. I'm normally like a TV whore. Like I'll rather watch TV than read. But lately, I've been really like into just the freedom I think that books have given me. I think I've been heartbroken way too many times by like relying on Netflix, HBO, Hulu to like keep a show that I love running and like keep it authentic and like keep the story going. I definitely feel like screenwriting and also like television is more restricted because, first of all, like if an actor decides to leave a show, that affects how the storyline goes. Like then maybe that character needs to be killed off, and maybe that's something that wasn't going to be authentic to the story in the beginning. You know, there's just like a lot of parts that go into movies and television that make me sometimes feel like abandoned. I think that's why I've been leaning more towards it. It's like a safe option, and also like I'm a YA fantasy whore, and I think fantasy is just executed so well on the page than it is in television or on the screen. Like it's so hard to perfectly execute fantasy on the screen. Like Game of Thrones really just eats it up, spits it back out, eats it back up again. But it's really hard for other people to replicate that. Nobody hate on me. Like I know this is my book collection. This is the collection of books that I've accumulated over the past few months. This is it. But it's gonna grow because I see myself continuing this because I like this whole reading thing. Before I tell you about my current read, I'm gonna tell you about the read that I just finished. The Blood Trials by N.E. Davenport. Out of 5, I would give The Blood Trials like a 3. 3.5. 3.5, 3. Like, it's teeter-tottering around those lines. I'm not gonna spoil anything, just in case you guys wanna read the books with me, or like you wanna read the ones that I suggest. Like, I'm not gonna give away the entire plot and twists and all of that stuff. It's an adult fantasy book. I did not realize it was adult fantasy until there was an entire smut scene for like 3 pages, and I was like, this isn't giving cut to black. This is not giving YA. This is giving A. This is giving capital A. Would not suggest for children. But I like that it was an adult fantasy because it was very gruesome. It was very bloody. It was very gory. And I liked that grit. Basically, it's about this main character here, 𝐻𝐻, and she's this black girl. And she's real strong. She's a really great fighter. Her grandfather was like one of the greatest. They're called like praetorians, is like the highest level of like soldiers in like the military, I guess. So her grandfather was like the lead praetorian, and then she finds out that he gets assassinated. And that's kind of like what propels the story, because she then decides to enter in these trials, the trials to become a praetorian. That way she could figure out who her father's killers are. The majority of the book is literally, it's the blood trials. It's her doing the trials, like giving very much Hunger Games. The first book that like really got me back into reading is Legend Born by Tracy Deonn. You guys have heard me fawn over this book, and also Blood Marked. 20 out of 10. Like these books, I love these books, but I also really loved that I could connect to it because it was like black YA fantasy. So the main characters were black, which I gel vibed with that. I'm black, if you didn't know. So like I gel vibed with that. And I thought I was gonna gel vibe with this one because of like the same thing. But this one was just, and this is like a personal opinion. What I don't like could be the reason that somebody likes a book. But this one just gave very much feeding me racism that I already know, but putting it with magic. You get what I'm saying? This girl, she's literally like the only black girl in the entire country, right? Like there's some other tan skinned folk. The overarching premise that I'm getting from this book is like, she's the darkest bitch there. That's kind of the plot. Like, I don't wanna like belittle the plot, but like honestly, like have I published a book? No, I'm just giving my honest, these are my opinions, okay? Great writer, but these are just my opinions. I just felt like the entire book centered around the fact that she was black. And that's not what I really want. I just want the main character to be black. Like that's a bonus. But we don't need the entire book to be a race theory piece. And that's kind of what this was giving, because it was like every conversation was kind of like about racism. There was even like a slur created, like a different slur that was like very parallel to the N-word. Every time it was used, it was like parallel reactions or like parallel uses of how people in real life use the N-word. It just felt like it was replicating racism in the real world, which like I don't think I needed. Like, I know what racism is. I don't think I need it like regurgitated to me in a fantasy novel with magic. Are you getting what I'm putting down? Again, people could really like that, and people could like that this is an exact replica of American racism. Okay, people could really love that. But to me, it just took me out of it, because I also felt like I was being pushed a theme or an agenda. I felt like I was being pushed to recognize like white bad, black good, racism, yay. And I don't like being pushed like to feel something or pushed to think something. Like, I want to be able to come to a conclusion on my own. I would have been fine if you introduced this racial slur that only applies to her, because again, she's the only black person in this entire country. Which I would be fine if like the slur was used, it was introduced, and then we just had to like sit on that. It would be like, okay, we introduced this slur, and then we went into this expose about how it affects her, and it gave very much me telling you about how the N-word affects me. I don't need that. I don't need to know how the N-word affects black people, because like I'm black, you know? So I feel like in that sense, it made it more unrelatable than relatable. There were just like a few of these like white characters in the book that I could tell were just in there to be racist and to be sexist, and that was their only personality trait. And I didn't necessarily like that. Like, I feel like it would have impacted me more if there were like these real flushed out people, and then are you getting what I'm saying? Because I'm not completing my sentences, but like I'm hoping you're getting what I'm saying. Like, I just felt like I was being fed a race critique. I like the magic introduced. I like the way that it ended off. It's making me excited for the second book. Really excited to continue the journey with the character. Also to continue the romance. I live and breathe for romance. I live and breathe for a good enemies to lovers. So I need more. It was like kind of like slow burn, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like there's gonna be more in the second book. So like, you know, I'm looking forward to that. I still suggest that you read it though. So that's my suggestion. Now on to my current read. I feel like majority of the fantasy community knows Miss Sarah J. Maas. She's an iconic name, much like Cassandra Clare. And I've always heard about Miss Sarah J. Maas, but I've never gotten into the Sarah J. Maas vibe. I was missing out. This book has me in so many shackles, and I don't even understand. I feel like majority of the fantasy community has already read this book, so like I'm very much late, but you know, better late than never. Like, I eat, breathe, sleep, and I'm thinking about this book, and I don't understand why. So of course I can't give like my final rating on this book. So far it's 5 stars. I think the pacing of it is so beautiful. The chapters are so short, which I think is a great thing to do for pacing, because it means that at the end of every like 5 pages or so, you're getting a bite-sized cliffhanger. Like, you're getting juiciness like after every 5 page, because that's how short each chapter is. And I think that's beautiful pacing. I think the world building, immaculate. The romance, it's really a slow burn romance. Honestly, like, I think fantasy books are just romance books with magic, and she gives us enough, but she doesn't give us too much, and it's just so slow. Like, the burn is so slow. I'm just waiting to burst into the flames. Like, I'm waiting. Oh my God, there's just so much to read, people. There's so much to read. used to seeing me with my hair like this because I feel like it's not suiting my head shape. Like I'm giving very much egg right now, and I think it's taking a hit to my confidence, but honestly, like this is my glow down to have a glow up. Once I have thriving, beautiful locks, no one's gonna say shit to me. We need to discuss. I finished Throne of Glass at like 12 a.m. last night. It was really a page turner. Honestly, like, without being like a kiss ass, I would give it a 5-star. But like, just because I don't want to say that anything is perfect, I would really give it like a 4.8, maybe. Like, probably like a 4.8, I guess. But like, in reality, I didn't have anything that I really disliked about it, to be honest. I really enjoyed the book. I liked the plot points. I liked kind of the character development of Celaena. If I'm being full-blown honest with you, I think the only thing that really kept me going through it was the romance plot lines and the slow burn romance of it all. The moments where the main character and her love interest or interests weren't in the same scenes, I found myself like kind of skimming rather than really being intent. But whenever she was interacting with her love interest, I was like going back. You know when you just read a good scene or a good line and you're just like, wait, I need to let this simmer a little bit. Let me read this again. A+ for creating nice slow burn romances. Honestly, at the end of it, I don't know what team I'm on. I don't know if I'm Dorian or Kate. I honestly don't know. I feel like it was an interesting dynamic because it's not like there was like a bad boy good, you know, the cliche. I feel like they were both interesting. So this book was in third-person perspective, and I liked how we got different viewpoints. Like they would switch not only from her, but like to the other guys and even to like other like side characters, which I found good to like broaden the world. And I like getting other perspectives on people, which I feel like can be hard when you just stick to one viewpoint. Would highly suggest reading it. But the reason I'm getting ready is because I was supposed to leave so much earlier. It's already 3 o'clock. The sun is gonna set in 2 hours. But I wanna go to Barnes & Noble's because I need to get more of the books. I have the second book, Crown of Midnight, so I'm like ready and prepared to read that. But I'm going on like a little short trip, and just in case I finish Crown of Midnight on the trip, I need the third book. I don't wanna be at a time when I just can't read the book. You know, I need to always have the next one ready and prepared. So I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble's. Hopefully they have it. I haven't been to Barnes & Noble's in probably like 10 years. The last time I went to Barnes & Noble's was probably like a school field trip. I don't know, like I don't necessarily remember how it works. Like, do they have every book that exists? I don't even know if they're gonna sell this. But I feel like since it's a #1 New York Times bestseller, like they should. But at the same time, it came out like a decade ago, so like they might not. I don't know. I guess we'll see how Barnes & Noble's works. I guess I'm intrigued. do a quick book haul. I definitely got more than I was supposed to, but they're all stuff that like I pretty much had on my list anyways. So I just figured why not get it now, just in case I don't feel like waiting on something. First thing I got is the Assassin's Blade. This is like the prequel novellas to The Throne of Glass. I was supposed to get Heir of Fire, which is the third book in this series. So I have 1, 2, and then I was supposed to get the third. But then when I was in the YA fantasy section, they literally had like pretty much majority of the books in the series except for Heir of Fire. So I asked the woman and she was like, oh, well, because of the covers, it's switching from YA to adult fantasy. So like Heir of Fire is probably in the adult section. And I was just wildly confused because like these are the new covers and I don't get how this gives adults. I don't think the contents of the book has changed, but it switched to adult. I don't know. That whole young adult thing is confusing to me because like in this case, like this book, all it has is like gore. Like it's nothing, I don't know. But I had to go to the adult section to find it. And then when I finally found Heir of Fire, it was literally the only hardcover copy, and I hate reading hardcover books. I mean, I just bought a hardcover book, but like I really don't like reading hardcover books. And I looked up on Amazon, and honestly they have the paperback version with the old covers for cheaper. And honestly, I like the old covers better, like with Selena on the cover rather than like, who the hell is this deer? I'm not a publisher, so like I don't understand the switch. But yeah, I got the prequel instead of the third one, and then I'll just order the third one on Amazon probably like in a few days. Lore by Alexander Bracken. This one was definitely on my list because it's like a Greek mythology, urban, modern take. Kind of feels like it's giving Percy Jackson, but like set in New York, and I liked the New York City setting vibe. That's what really drew me to it because I haven't read many fantasy books that are urban fantasy that are set in New York. And I'm interested in urban fantasy because I think that's what I'm most interested in writing. But I feel like it's so hard because a lot of fantasy books take place in like Victorian eras with kings and queens or like completely different realms. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. I feel like if you're a real book person and you've been on Book Talk, you might make fun of me for this, but I got Lightlark by Alex Astor. I know there's been a lot of controversy, not so much about the book, but just about the author of the book, because like, I don't know, apparently she got like famous on TikTok, and like there's controversy because she's like kind of a nepotism baby, but like, I don't know, there was a lot of stuff. And I watched a bunch of YouTube videos about her not knowing a damn thing about her. But low-key, I think that's probably the best marketing she's ever done because like as soon as I walked into the YA fantasy section, I recognized her book cover because she's been in the media so much. Based on her TikToks, I was interested in seeing what the book's about. The plot of it seems pretty interesting. I just wanted to be in the loop of the TikTok drama, so I got it. It's hardcover though. I think most people like hardcover, or do most people like softcover? I'm really a hardcover hater. I like to be able to freaking, like, if I can't like fold the whole book like this, I don't really, like, it's gonna ruin my experience, but it is what it is. I guess we'll see how fast I finish majority of these books. It's gonna be a lot of Sarah J Maas. I probably need like stuff to break it up in between, so that's probably when I'm gonna read these other books. Okay, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm gonna go watch The Last of Us and enjoy my night.